Most freelancers and business owners, they believe that the only way to double their income is to grind harder by taking on more clients and working longer hours or by chasing every opportunity. But that's not how it works. Instead, the ones who actually break through and scale their income while working less, they do something completely different. Now, there's an ancient historical account about a leader named Nehemiah. Now, he was building a wall and he was under massive pressure. People kept making urgent requests of Nehemiah. They sounded important, maybe even good, but Nehemiah refused to come down from building the wall. Now, why did he refuse? And what does that have to do with doubling your income while reclaiming your time? Well, stick around because in this video, I'm going to unpack the hidden power of boundaries and why ignoring the good may be the single smartest move that you'll ever make. We'll discuss how focus becomes your greatest wealth building tool, and we'll see the surprising link between ancient wisdom and modern success. And once you understand this shift, you'll have a great system for focusing on what really matters and commit to doing the best thing instead of a lot of good things. One of the biggest traps freelancers and service-based business owners fall into is the idea that growth comes from saying yes to everything. A new client calls and you say yes. A past client asks for a favor and you say yes. A new opportunity pops up and you squeeze it in and you already have a packed calendar. It feels right in the moment. I mean, after all, more clients should mean more revenue, and more opportunities should mean more growth. But that's typically not how it plays out. You see, saying yes to everything leads to a business that is bloated, scattered, and even exhausting to run. You end up stretched thin across way too many projects, managing way too many details, and carrying way too many expectations. You're busy, but you're not necessarily making meaningful progress. And even worse, you start to lose sight of why you started your business in the first place. Now, Nehemiah understood this trap. While he was leading the rebuilding of the Jerusalem wall, people kept coming to him with requests. They wanted him to leave the wall and deal with side issues, local politics, other community needs. Now, these were not necessarily bad requests. They could have definitely been considered important in their own way. But Nehemiah saw something that most leaders miss. He saw that every yes to these good things was no to finishing the best thing. And he famously said, "I'm doing a great work and I cannot come down." That wasn't arrogance, it was clarity. And it ended up that the intentions of these men were to actually distract and discourage Nehemiah from building the wall. But even if that wasn't their intention, it would have had the same effect if Nehemiah would have come down. And in your business, every time that you say yes to something good, you're automatically saying no to something else. Many times, you're saying no without even realizing it. You say yes to an extra client project, but that means you're saying no to marketing your high ticket offer. You say yes to one more favor, but you're saying no to a free evening with your family. You say yes to a small opportunity, but you're saying no to creating a system and a process that would actually scale your business. Now, good things are not always harmless. In fact, they're often the biggest threat to your focus. There's also a hidden cost when you divide your attention. You lose energy, you lose momentum, and you lose the ability to see the bigger picture. Instead of building something extraordinary, you're left maintaining something average. And here's what's even trickier. Good things often masquerade as progress. They keep you moving, but they don't always move you forward. And because of that, you wake up tired and you go to bed tired, and then you still wonder why doubling your income just feels so out of reach. The real challenge is not spotting the bad opportunities. You can usually see those coming. The challenge is having the wisdom and the courage to say no to the good things that look useful, they seem harmless, and the things that would actually give you a quick hit of accomplishment. Because it's only when you clear those things out of the way that you create space for the best things. And when you make space for the best things, that's when things really start to change for you. Because when most people hear the word boundaries, they immediately think of rules, restrictions, or limitations. But boundaries are not about restriction, they're about freedom. They actually create space for focus. They create room for hard thinking or deep work. They create room for clarity. They create room for creativity. They create room for the kind of progress that actually moves your business forward. You see, without boundaries, your calendar runs you. Your clients run you. Your inbox runs you. And before you know it, because you've lacked boundaries, you've built a business. It may look successful on the outside, but it feels overwhelming on the inside. Boundaries will flip that script. They'll allow you to run your business instead of your business running you. Now, Nehemiah's boundary is pretty simple. He said, I'm doing a great work, and I cannot come down. And that one line set the tone for everything else. It was a line in the sand. It told everyone, here's what I'm focused on. Here is where my energy is going. And no, I'm not available for distractions, even potentially good ones. That level of clarity is rare, but it's also magnetic because people notice when you're clear on your priorities. Clients notice when you're clear. Teams notice when you're clear. Even your family notices. Boundaries, they don't push people away. In fact, when they're done right, they actually increase respect from those that you love. Now, boundaries also make decision making easier because when you know what matters most, you no longer waste time or energy debating every opportunity or every request. You have a filter. You can ask yourself, does this truly align with what I'm building? Does this truly move the needle? Does this protect the work that matters the most? And if the answer is no, then the decision becomes clear. You can say no without guilt. You can say no without apology. You can be nice, of course, but you can say no. And here's where it gets really powerful. Boundaries are not just external, no, they're also internal. It's one thing to set a boundary with a client, it's another thing altogether to set a boundary with yourself. And that might mean stop working at a certain hour, even when you're tempted to keep going. It might mean committing to time off for focused creative time. It might mean limiting the number of projects that you take on, even if turning down a project feels uncomfortable. Because if you don't honor your own boundaries, no one else is going to. When you put boundaries in place, you actually create conditions for momentum. You give yourself a chance to pour laser focused energy into work that actually matters. And that's when things really start to click. It's when you start to do your best work and you start to attract better clients. Then you start to see the results that had just been out of reach earlier. But to be clear, boundaries are not a sign of weakness. They're actually a sign of strength. They're a declaration that you know what you're here to do, you know what matters most, and you're actually willing to protect it. And that's when your business starts to shift from scattered hustle to strategic growth. Now, if boundaries create the space, then it's actually focus that fills that space with power. Focus is what takes the room that you've carved out and it actually allows you to create real results. And not just any results, but multiplied results. You see, Focus is a wealth multiplier, but scattered effort gives you scattered outcomes. You show up everywhere, but you don't gain traction anywhere. You end up doing a little bit of everything, but you never go deep enough to create mastery or reputation or leverage. However, focused effort is different. Focused effort stacks, it compounds, it multiplies, and over time, focused effort changes everything. When you focus, you stop leaking energy on things that don't actually matter. You stop trying to be all things to all people. Instead, you pour your best energy into the work that does move the needle. You spend time on your most valuable clients. You develop your most profitable offers. You create systems that actually free you up from the grind. And here's the somewhat surprising part. You see, the more you focus, the more creative you actually become. Focus does not limit creativity. Instead, it unlocks it. Because when you're not busy juggling 100 things, your mind actually has space to solve bigger problems, to actually solve things more strategically, and to even innovate. And that's why the account of Nehemiah matters so much. His focus wasn't just about finishing a wall and doing what God had told him to do, it was also about inspiring a movement. It was about showing what was possible when a leader was fully locked in on a mission. His focus pulled people in, it created momentum, and it led to a result that actually shaped history. And in your business, focus can actually do the same. It positions you as the leader. It makes you stand out in a crowded market, and it creates momentum that other people actually want to be a part of. Now, focus also transforms your business model. When you focus, you stop being the cheap, convenient commodity, and instead you start being the premium, high value option. You will attract clients who want the best, not just the fastest or cheapest. You build a reputation for excellence. And as a result, you can actually charge accordingly. Not because you're working more hours, but because you're delivering more value. And that's how focus turns into freedom. Now, I'm not going to pretend that this is easy. Focus requires a discipline. It requires saying no a lot. It requires resisting the pull of every shiny opportunity and trusting that less really is more. But once you get a taste of what focus momentum feels like, you'll never want to go back. You'll see how much more is possible when you actually stop dividing your time and energy across too many things. So here's my challenge to you. Take time right now to determine what's the one thing in your business that deserves your best focus. What's the one project, the one client, the one offer that if you gave it your full attention could actually transform everything for you and your business? Because that's where the magic happens. That's where wealth multiplies. And that's how you break free from hustle and actually step into true growth. We've seen how saying yes to everything is a trap. It feels like growth, but it actually drains your energy. Saying yes to everything scatters your focus. It keeps you stuck in average results. We've seen how having and keeping boundaries will actually flip that script. Boundaries create the space that you need to focus. Boundaries are not about shutting people out. Instead, they're about locking your attention in on what actually matters the most. And we've also seen how focus becomes your wealth multiplier. It takes ordinary effort and turns it into extraordinary outcomes. Now, here's the thing. None of this works if you only think about it. Thinking harder is required, but you have to actually act. You have to take the time to define your boundaries. You have to make the hard calls about what you will say no to. And you have to come to grips that you cannot do everything. You have to get clear on where your best focus belongs. And then you have to hold that line. Because the breakthrough comes on the other side of that commitment. Remember the wall in Jerusalem that Nehemiah built. It didn't get built because he had the perfect plan. It got built because he stayed on the wall. He stayed the course when distractions came. God provided extraordinary courage and strength to help Nehemiah and the other Israelites to actually stay the course and to do their best thing. Nehemiah held the line when people tried to pull him away. And in the end, he didn't just finish a project, he was used to change the future for God's people. And that's what's actually available to you when you stop chasing every good thing and instead focus on the best thing. When you do that, you don't just double your income, you actually reclaim your time, you reclaim your energy, and you create a space for your life and for a business that you actually want to have. Now, if you want to go deeper into how to build these boundaries, how to protect your focus, and how to create real freedom in your business, then I invite you to grab my book. I go into this in great detail, and I truly believe it will help you break free from the hustle and actually allow you to step into the growth that you've been working towards. The book's called Work Smarter, Think Harder. It's the entrepreneur's guide to doubling your revenue working half the time. And you can actually get it at the link in the description, or you can go to worksmarterbook.com. Now, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week, and I'll see you in the next video.